on location in Sydney, Australia. My name's Lynn, and I'll be your host for this week. In 1 Chronicles 29, we read about King David, setting up the kingdom for his son Solomon to take over. So in earlier chapters, David's told us about the provision that he's leaving for the temple. And now we're talking about the party that they're having. They're celebrating with sacrifices. And so let's read that. The next day they made sacrifices to the Lord and presented burnt offerings to him, 1,000 bulls, 1,000 rams, 1,000 male lambs, together with their drink offerings and other sacrifices in abundance for Israel. And just to clarify, there's sacrifices in here and this time because that's how they worship and praise the Lord in that time period. We don't do animal sacrifices anymore because God sent the ultimate sacrifice in Jesus Christ. And so animal sacrifices aren't the way that we show our gratitude and that we praise and worship the Lord. Just to clarify. And in the next verse, in 22, it says, they ate and drank with great joy in the presence of the Lord that day. They ate and drank with great joy. They weren't wasting their time being consumed with thinking about the cost of the sacrifice. Like, how much is this costing me? How much is 1,000 bulls going to cost? They were so aware that they were in the presence of the Lord and they celebrated with great joy. How do I want to be in the presence of the Lord? I want to be in his presence with great joy, not with complaining and whining. And David's attitude had a lot to do with how the people reacted because he set the tone. He said, I'm going to be excited about this, and so you have permission to be excited about this, not mourn me, I was a great king, there'll never be another one like me. No, he was super excited to have his son come up in strength, and so he set him up for a win. So David set the tone for the kingdom that day. And it made me think about this time back when I was a youth leader at my home church, and we had decided to go from meeting on Sundays, having Sunday school, to having small groups outside of church. And I hated the idea. I was like, no, this isn't going to work. Kids aren't going to who's going to fit in another day in the week? Like, we just don't have time for that. I was so resistant to it. And so my conversations and the tone I set were negative ones. I set them up for failure. And then fast forward a couple of months, I moved to Australia and I started attending Hillsong Church, where they do small groups outside of church. And it works so well, and attendance is actually really great because they make it possible for people to come. And so I missed that great opportunity at home to be a part of that joy and set the tone and expectation. I missed the chance to be a part of that, and I don't want it to be like that. I might not be influencing kingdoms of people, you might not be influencing kingdoms of people, but we have spheres of influence, and we are influencing somebody in some way. And I pray that it's a positive one, that we would pave the path with joy. So this week, as we go throughout our weeks, let's be aware of the presence of God and not focused on the present circumstance. Thanks again for tuning in to this week's episode of The Current, on location on a beautiful summer day in Sydney, Australia. Have a great week, friends. We're praying for you, and we'll see you next time on The Current.